Michael, Vivian, panelists, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. And thank you so much for having me this morning. McKinsey's report and the conference today have given us much food for thought on how important it is to individual organizations, industries, and the society as a whole to encourage inclusion. Just now, I have the benefits of listening to the interesting panel discussion from the private academia sector about their own experiences or studies. I'm pleased to conclude today's discussion by giving a government perspective on this very important subject. Indeed, the government of Hong Kong places great emphasis in building an inclusive society that can benefit all in the community. We think that it is very crucial to attain a sustainable development and achieve social harmony, which are also key to promoting Hong Kong's status as an international metropolis. I'm hoping to make use of the next 10 minutes or so to share with you some of our work in related areas. I'll be focusing on gender and ethnic diversity. Although just now during the panel discussion, we talked about the limitations of figures and statistics, but allow me to quote some to set the context. First of all, there are over 7 million people in Hong Kong, with more than half of the population being female. In Hong Kong, we're lucky that gender inequality is not a problem in respect of access to education. And 15 years of free basic education is available to all children, irrespective of their gender. As far as tertiary education is concerned, more women actually receive higher education than men do. The percentage share of female students enrolled to our publicly funded undergraduate programs is 53.9% last academic year, whilst there is a percentage share of 62.9% of female students at the taught postgraduate level. However, when we look at the labor force participation rate, there's still scope for improvement in encouraging more women to join the workforce. Female labor force participation rate in Hong Kong is significantly lower than their male counterparts, despite a slight increase in recent years. In 2017, the labor force participation rate of women and men was at 55.1% and 68.3% respectively. And being the largest employer in Hong Kong, the government sets the example of promoting gender balance. Within the civil service, all appointments and promotions are made in a fair, competitive process based on purely merits. We also have a very transparent and open pay adjustment system for all employees, irrespective of the gender. And we endeavor to adopt family-friendly management practices within the civil service. We are glad to see that female participation within the government has been on the rise. Our chief executive, Mrs. Carrie Lam, many of you may know her, is the first ever female head of Hong Kong SAR. And in terms of the civil service, the number of female directorate officers increased significantly, and I'm very pleased to be part of one of the members. And the proportion of female civil servants rose to 37.6% in 2017. With a view to enhancing the participation of women in government's advisory and statutory bodies, we have set the gender benchmark target of female members at 35%. And the current percentage stands at 33%, which is not far from the target. In addition, in the consideration of policies and measures, we make sure that gender is taken into account. The government adopts gender mainstreaming as a comprehensive decision-making framework to ensure that important social indicators on different conditions of women and men are considered when conducting day-to-day work and making policies. Recognizing the benefits of female participation in the workforce, coupled with the aging population problem of Hong Kong, which requires a stronger labor force, we put in place policies and measures to promote a workforce environment which embraces the difference of gender and the lead. In her second policy address announced last month, our chief executive announced a number of family-friendly measures. Notably, the government will strengthen childcare services provided by childcare centers and home-based child carers, and enhance neighborhood support in our community, so as to enable women with young children to take up or stay in employment to the extent possible. While we still have a lot to catch up in respect of maternity leave provision when compared with many European countries, including the UK, we will be taking a step further to extend the statutory maternity leave from the current 10 weeks only to 14 weeks, during which employee will be entitled to, by and large, around 4/5 of her average wage. In addition, the government will include in future sale conditions of land a requirement for the provision of babysitting and also baby care and also breastfeeding facilities. Such facilities will also be provided in all new government premises. And turning to ethnic diversity, Hong Kong is home to some 250,000 ethnic minority residents, accounting for 3.8% of the whole population. The ethnic minority population expanded very rapidly in the past 5 years, which indeed is much faster than the territory-wide growth rate. As we pride ourselves as Asia's world city, although we treat Americans as tourists, our government is committed to providing equal opportunities for the ethnic minorities and facilitating their integration into the community. Owing to language barriers and cultural differences, some of the ethnic minorities communities do encounter different degrees of difficulties in their everyday life. I believe you have studied Chinese language. You will agree that Chinese language is actually not an easy language to learn. To support non-Chinese speaking students in learning this language systematically and to assist their integration into the community, we have put in place another curriculum framework for learning the Chinese language as a second language. We hope that it will help them grasp the language in a more effective way. And to promote the employment opportunities of ethnic minorities, targeted welfare services, training, retraining opportunities, and employment support are provided to the ethnic minority group. And we are continuing our efforts and commitments in this area. As announced in the budget and policy address this year, we were going to earmark another £50 million to strengthen the support for ethnic minorities, including the enhancement of interpretation and translation services to ethnic minorities in our community centers, the commissioning of the non-government sector to outreach and provide assistance to needy ethnic minority families, and the organization of district-based activities to encourage interaction, exchange between ethnic and local minorities, communities. Again, as the largest employer and a key service provider in Hong Kong, our government will refine our guidelines internally to promote racial equality within the civil service and strengthen the training on cultural sensitivity for civil servants. As the McKinsey's report has pointed out, crafting a truly effective inclusion and diversity strategy is no small effort and requires strong, sustained, and inclusive leadership. Our government is committed to providing an inclusive and diversified environment for all walks of life, regardless of the race, ethnic background, age, gender, region, cultural background, and upbringing. I am glad to see that a lot of organizations and private companies and also academic sector here today, and those covered in the McKinsey report, are actually striving towards this very meaningful and vital goal. I believe we still have lots to do, but I'm confident that we are on the right track, making changes. On this positive note, I would like to thank Asia House and McKinsey for inviting me to share with you the Hong Kong story at such a meaningful forum. Thank you very much for your attention.